Hello again. Thanks for joining Delphi Forum once again this year in very different circumstances. My name is Christos Konstas. I'm a financial editor, and I have the joy and the privilege to have a discussion with Andreas Pollner. Andreas Pollner, hello, Andreas. He has granted me the privilege of, on a first name basis, to address him on a first name basis. Andreas Pollner has been someone who works with Bayer for the last 16 years. He came from Berlin last year in August 2019, and he is responsible for Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria for Bayer, for Bayer. So I think he's the person to help us go through the situation that coronavirus has created in the Balkans area. So Andreas, let's start. Tell me, what are the key learnings from the recent crisis according to your experience?
Kalimera Solis. Thank you, Chris. Thank you also for this opportunity. I think what we've seen in this crisis is very important as learnings. One of the things which we discussed in the Bayer community was the role of science. Bayer's motto is science for a better life. And what we've seen in this crisis is that the trust of the people in science clearly increased. The other part, what we've seen is that the citizens have started to understand how important research and development is to give answers and to give solutions in the diseases that we are seeing. And I think the other part which we all experience is the level of how new technologies were driving for us the way how we move forward, the way how we connect, the way also how we can steer companies on a remote way. And last but not least, I think, especially in the Greek public, the level of personal responsibility was educated and was practiced a lot. And I think this is a very important step forward. So there were quite a lot of learnings which we should carry on.
Okay, you learned something from the crowd. Now tell us some ideas how to drive health and well-being in the new normal then.
I think in the new normal, it is important that we build on the level of educating ourselves when it comes to prevention, when it comes to understanding how diseases are working. So being an educated citizen and being able to do self-care is very important. Another topic for sure is how can we further leverage digitalization? We will talk about this later today. I see that in digitalization, we can do a lot of things, and we also drive this in Bayer. For example, when you look at telemedicine, there are many solutions which would help us here in Greece when it comes to remote locations. For example, in France, this has been done during the crisis, and telemedicine applications moved up from 1,000 treatments per day to 100,000 treatments per day by doctors. It's enormous what is possible. And last but not least is for sure the driver into science and research and development investments. I think this is extremely important.
So I want to stick for a minute and conclude also with the situation in clinical trials here in Greece. I think there is a problem here and we have to address.
I agree with you, Chris. The clinical trials is something that I also starting here relatively new, discovered as a big potential for Greece. There's so much strong researchers and academia. And what we've seen is that the number of clinical trials and the money spent here is underrepresented compared to Europe. So in Bayer, we would like to also foster this. There are new ways and possibilities how we can be stronger in clinical trials and how we can also connect this to digitalization or to artificial intelligence. The other part is for sure the cross-disciplinary interactions between all the stakeholders. This is something which will be also important and which I would like to foster.
Andreas Pollner, thank you very much. Thank you, Bayer Alas. Thank you for your insight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chris, for the opportunity.
Yes.
All the best.